Hi, my name is Luis Valenzuela, and I'm going to be going over some basic tips and tricks for caring for a cast iron skillet. Contrary to popular belief, it's really not that difficult caring for a cast iron. I know it's going to take a little more effort than caring for the traditional skillet that you might already have in your kitchen, but many people will tell you that it's an investment you're making because a good quality skillet can last you for more than 100 years, and that's going to be very key to how you care for it. So some basic materials that we're going to be discussing today are your skillet, the kind that you're going to buy, the utensils that you're going to want to use, the materials that you're going to use to clean it and to care for it, and the oil that you're going to want to use, because the oil is actually one of the key components of caring for a cast iron skillet. So to begin, you're going to want to decide what size skillet that you want to use. When you purchase your skillet, you're going to bring it home and you're going to want to go ahead and give it a wash. You're going to want to try to limit the amount of soap you use on your skillet to a very, very minimal amount. And I will talk about that as to why in a little bit. So after you wash it, you're going to want to season it for the first time. And you can naturally season your skillet with every use, with everything that you might cook. I recommend you season it really well so that you kind of create this first layer of seasoning that's going to be really set. And so in order to do that, you're going to want to go ahead and take your oven and you're going to set it to basically as high as it goes, because some people will recommend you set it to 500 degrees, but mine will only allow me to go to 450. So I'm going to go ahead and set it, let it heat up. So the seasoning, what I'm talking about, is basically just layers and layers and layers of oil that gets cooked on, and so that's what causes the non-stick. You're going to want to go ahead and get some oil. I'm using vegetable oil. People will use olive oil, people will use grapeseed oil, avocado oil, but I think the vegetable oil is really basically all you need. So after I put the vegetable oil on, I'm going to go ahead and use a cloth. I chose to use a bandana or some other cloth, but I chose the bandana because it's going to prevent any lint from sticking. So I go ahead and just get the oil, put the bandana, and spread it all around the surface of the skillet. Make sure there's no pools of oil or anything like that. And then after the oven, signals that it's done warming up, you're going to go ahead and just put it in the oven. Some people will even put it on with a cookie tray so that it has something sturdy to stand on or sit on. And so you're going to want to set a timer for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. I recommend an hour and a half. Once you put it in there, you're not even going to worry about it. You're just going to sit there. When you're done, when the timer goes off, you just go ahead and take it out very carefully. Use a towel, use whatever you need to take it out. And you're just going to let it sit, cool down. Now let's say you're using the skillet. You're going to want to use some materials to cook, obviously. And you have options from metal utensils to plastic utensils to wooden utensils. And I would recommend you always choose the wooden utensils because you don't run the risk with wooden utensils of scratching or damaging the seasoning. And with plastic, let's say, you run the risk of melting. That might get stuck to your food, might get stuck to the surface of the skillet. So I recommend you use wooden utensils. And with using a cast iron, it's going to be a little bit more crucial that you put it on the burner and you let it warm up a little bit more than you would with a regular pan. Just because there's a lot more metal that you're working with, and a lot of people choose the cast iron skillet because of the high ledge, and this allows for the sides of the pan to get hot so that the food cooks a little bit more evenly and even faster. So then let's say you finish cooking, you have a lot of caked on food on the sides, on the bottom. When you take it over to the sink, you want to go ahead and grab it, because I know with other pans, traditionally, you don't want to wash the pan while it's hot because it could cause any warping. But with a cast iron skillet, you might actually find that it's easier to wash while it's still hot, because that allows for the food not to have enough time to stick, to cake on. So you just go ahead. I usually just walk it to the sink, turn the water on, let the water run, use one of the brushes that I said, and just kind of scrape off any food that you might have. And that's basically it. After that, you're just going to want to dry it with, let's say, another no fiber sticking cloth. And a tip that I've learned that I can share with you today is after you wash it in the sink and pat dry it, you're going to want to go ahead and bring it back to the burner, set it on low, let it heat up again, and this is going to let any residual moisture just evaporate from the pan, and this is going to allow the water to disappear so that you don't have any chances of rust accumulating on your pan. Covering what you use to wash it, I know I said earlier you're not going to want to use any soap, And that is true because the soap is going to damage the oil that you've sort of caked on, which is going to be seasoning the pan, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to use any. You don't want to lose any of your seasoning. Soap is okay. Like, let's say if you have some pretty caked on materials, but if you're going to use any soap, use the least amount possible. And so because of that, you're going to want to steer clear of using the same sponge that you might use on your other dishes. I recommend you get some like scrubbers. I have a little handheld scrubber here, and then I also have a scrubber with a handle that you can use. And you're going to want to go ahead and purchase scrubbers whose bristles are not too rough. The rougher the bristles, the more risk you have of damaging the seasoning. And so that is everything today that we've covered. We've covered how to clean it, how to care for it once you first purchased it, the initial seasoning, and you can even, repeat the process of seasoning in your oven anytime you want, just for fun. If you want to just go ahead and keep layering on layers of seasoning, we've covered the materials. And yeah, now you're ready to go. You're ready to take on the world. You're ready to become a world-class chef. And I would recommend more than anything that you purchase one for yourself. Thank you so much for watching.